think you know when I was growing up in my teens, I always wanted to do something related to the computer field and something on the technology side, right? So went and did my computer science engineering, and then started off my career in the technology industry as a developer. So my initial foray into the technology industry was interesting because I was able to wear multiple hats, right, and consciously wear multiple hats. Uh, and went from being a developer into technical management, into program management. I did a little bit of consulting, a bit of sales, pre-sales, and then for the last few years, taken up some leadership roles. I started off my career with Infosys, and then moved on to Capgemini before joining MSys, and been here for the last 9 years. Um, it's been a terrific opportunity to you know work in different geographies too. I started off my career working in India, but then spent nearly 10 years in the US, and then also had opportunities to work in the UK and Europe, and then the Asia Pacific market, right? So just the opportunities to work in different roles, different geographies, and with different companies has really given me a broader perspective in my personal and professional life, right? So really honored to have that opportunity. As the chief operating officer here at MSys, I uh, do see that there are definitely a wide range of responsibilities, right? Uh, and I find all of those aspects very enjoyable, right? But a few of them do stand out, right? I think one of the first one is actually being able to formulate and implement corporate and business strategies, right? And I think that aspect really excites me a lot, right? Um, the other aspect is actually having the cross-functional collaboration across the different departments and teams, right? To actually implement those business strategies, right? And I think that aspect is something which really keeps me on my toes, keeps me excited, every day. I think the third and most important aspect is the the opportunity to interact with employees across diverse backgrounds, different roles, different teams, and really understand how motivated they are to be able to do well for not only themselves but for the organization and the clients, right? And I think that human element is very enriching, right? And is really something which I look forward to in my role as the chief operating officer here. No, I know as leaders, right? One does have to face quite a few challenges in one's journey, right? And I think as a leader, you got to be able to uh, be ready for it, be able to handle those challenges, right? I think in my journey, I feel the pandemic was probably the most significant hurdle that I've encountered, right? And I think many of other leaders in the industry would say the same, right? I think many clients and many of our clients have also faced some business challenges during that pandemic period. And it was tough to see them go through those challenges. And we worked very closely with them to find solutions with the help of technology or processes or best practices, whatever, to be able to help them surmount those challenges, right? So that is from more from the client side, right? But I think even from a company of our size, right, we do face some internal challenges um, around the teams, right, and the productivity of those teams, right? And it was both good and bad, right? So the teams that had worked very well together before the pandemic actually had even more productive outcomes later on, right? During the pandemic, right? Because they already had um, those relationships built out, right? So they were able to take those, and the pandemic actually gave them some additional time because they didn't have to spend that much time, commuting to work and all that. And in fact, the productivity increased a lot more. But we did see that the teams that were just formed during the pandemic, right, or just right before the pandemic, right, they definitely faced far more challenges than being able to deliver on the outcomes that the clients were expecting, or we were expecting of them. And I think it was a lot to do with the fact that they were not able to build the team bonding, right? And the trust without the physical interactions that were happening, right? And we, in fact, had to increase virtual calls and online collaboration through tools to compensate for the lack of those face-to-face interactions, right? We also prioritize virtual leadership connects on a regular basis with these teams, right? To be able to really uh, make them understand the bigger picture, right? Make them understand the client challenges, make them understand what is it that they were trying to achieve in those months and years, right? So I think that those kind of hurdles was something unique. Some of us had never faced it in our journey, right? A lot of the employees were going through personal challenges in their lives, right? And so empathizing with them and being able to find solutions for them, right? Extending a helping hand was very important in those times, right? So very unique set of challenges that we may never or may not face ever in our journeys or in our professional journeys going forward. But I think that was probably one of the most significant challenges. It was great to see how everyone came together, not only as an organization, but as a human race to be able to solve those challenges. Now that's definitely a very good question, right? And I think the financial services industry and the financial technology industry are really seeing dramatic changes over the last few years. I think some of the trends that we are just seeing, specifically from a domain perspective, is the new areas of open banking and open finance, right? This is for people who are not privy to that, but it is some new concepts that are being tested around the customers' banking and financial data being shared with third parties through APIs, right? And that will enable more customized financial products and services for end customers. This is just taking off. There are some use cases that have already been adopted in the industry. But I think this is going to change the kind of services and products that are available to end consumers, right? A lot more personalized, a lot more customized. Uh, you know, the customer does not have to only look at their bank or their financial uh, advisor to provide the services as they do today, it'll be opened up to a whole broad set of third parties, right? So definitely that's one trend that's really emerging. And then, of course, there's one in the US which seems to have a lot of implications around faster payments, right? This is the Fed Now it is an instant payment service in the US that has been launched, very similar to the UPI in India, right, which has already made a significant impact on the kind of payments that are happening in India and the volume of payments and the kind of the faster transactions that are happening, right? So definitely will change the dynamics of payments in the US too. Uh, Apart from that, I think the technology elements of it, right? Just the whole artificial intelligence piece that's going to really, you know, change things on the fintech side, right? Helping with fraud detection, helping with KYC, anti-money laundering, and things like that, right? We're already seeing the benefits of generative AI or Gen AI in fintech, drastically in the last year, and that will continue to happen, right? There will be definitely a lot of use cases, Gen AI use cases that will come up on the fintech side that will transform the industry, right? Apart from that, I think one other area that is definitely going to get a lot of traction, and is already getting a lot of traction, is RPA or robotic process automation, wherein you are able to automate processes and especially the mundane processes, right, and the repetitive processes to really help the people focus more on the other value or the value adds that can be given, right? So I think RPA is definitely going to take a lot of prominence, right? And I think in all these technology elements, us as a company are helping our clients, right, uh, to transcend to the next level, right? We already have certain use cases that are implemented in these particular areas, and we are also talking to a lot of prospects and our existing clients around use cases in the AI, ML, or Gen AI or RPA space, right? So, really excited to see the kind of progress that is going to transpire in the next few years in this area, right? And excited to be part of it. Yeah, I think a very valid question. You know, especially in the technology industry, right? Things are changing very rapidly, so highly imperative to share knowledge across people. And I think uh, when we talk about different backgrounds, and I think what is very important is to look at the whole concept of diversity and inclusion, right? Uh, I know it's gaining a lot of traction, a lot of companies talking about it, a lot of companies doing a lot of things, right? But it's essential before we go into this whole uh, aspect about collaborating and sharing of knowledge with people across different backgrounds and then improving team performance is to first focus on improving diversity and inclusion in the team, right? And I think you know we've taken a lot of steps in that direction, right? We have consciously encouraged more women to come back to work through our various employment initiatives, right? And that's spawning, good diversity within our teams, right? And especially in the technology industry, it's a more male-dominated industry, so we would like more women to be part of it, right? So generally, that's one area that we're focusing on, right? Is to first encourage diversity in the teams that we have, right? The other aspect that we want to do is to make sure that, with the different offices that we have across different cities and countries, right, we try to consciously encourage cross-pollination among, of resources among our different teams, right? And this is imperative because uh, it helps us to have people with diverse backgrounds, diverse perspectives in the same teams, right? And they can work across different locations. And I think this is happened even more during the pandemic, right? And this is actually maybe the pandemic was a blessing in this disguise, right? Where it led to more diversity and inclusion, right? So I think that is something which we consciously do to make sure that leaders and even team members across different teams are from different locations, from different cities, right? So that they all collaborate and come together and help bring them different, bring new ideas, new perspectives to everyday work, right? And that spawns new innovations, new thoughts, and actually leads to better outcomes like we have seen right during the pandemic. So I think those are a couple of ways where we are trying to encourage people from diverse backgrounds to work across the same teams, right? And it has improved our overall performance and productivity. I think innovation, especially in the technology industry, is paramount, right? It An innovation mindset in everything we do uh, is important, and this is how we will be able to differentiate ourselves, right, in the industry, right? So I think we need to get that innovation mindset, that innovation culture, right? And that's where what we focus on, right, on a day-to-day basis. Um, I think as a leadership team, as an organization, we want to be constantly abreast of emerging technology trends, right? And the maturity level of those technologies, and how are those getting adopted across different various industries, right? So for a company like MSys, right, we look at foraying into any emerging technology trend based on these factors, based on the rate of adoption of that technology and the maturity level of that technology right now, right? And then, we look at our solutions engineering teams and our technology practices who are tasked with building these capabilities out, right? Conducting proof of concepts, um, piloting these with prospects and clients, right? And I think that's one area how we, you know, bring innovation into what we do on a day-to-day basis and what we do for our clients, right? We are, piloting this concept about of micro innovation, right, in all our teams, right? And I think with the concept of micro innovation, we are actively encouraging all our teams and employees to find small avenues to innovate, right? We are not looking at this whole, big innovation out there, right? But small ways that they can innovate, whether it's with processes, whether it's with technology, whether it's with systems, whether it's with any best practices, right? And work closely with their clients, with the teams to implement this, right? So I think those are the ways we are trying to, build that innovation culture. Now, in the technology industry, it's very important to find time for yourself and for what you are passionate or interested about, right? Especially to get that balance, right? There's a lot going on the professional side, but then find some things on the personal side to balance that out, right? uh, I do spend a lot of time um, on my physical and mental health kind of aspects, right? So yoga and meditation in the morning, and then with some long walks and exercise routines during the week, that I spread it out across the week. um, I think, to really unwind, I spend time with family as much as possible outside of work. You know, I do have a lot of interest in traveling to new places and experiencing different cultures, right? Just to get a different perspective, right? And I think that helps me, decompress and, find other ways of enjoying things. And I think I have one thing which I, always try and find some time for, which is something which I'm very passionate about, is astronomy. Do have an interest in that. Been there for since I was a kid. Just want to learn about the fascinating new things that are happening in that area. I mean, there's always something that's getting discovered all the time by scientists and astronomers. So, really look at those elements very closely, right? So that's the way I kind of try and, find a balance. Yeah, I mean, I think I value this now a whole lot more. But to my younger self, I would like to say that maybe take some time to reflect, uh, and appreciate the little things in life, right? A little bit more, right? I know all of us try and do that, but sometimes we, in our professional journeys and always get so busy with things that we don't spend more time doing that, right? I think there's enough time to achieve one's aspirations, right, in life, right? I think, instead of being hurrying things, right, you spend a little bit of time to cherish the real things that matter in life, right? Whether it's your family or health, the friends, and all. I think that would be my advice to my younger self a bit more, right?